Good afternoon, everyone. So, in today's video, I am going to show you how I prune my plants. Now, I did a lot of pruning when I was kind of redoing this middle area to make way for the three new plants that I added in. So we've got the Chameleon nobile, the Artemisia schmittiana, and the Helianthemum there, which I've added in, and they all seem to be doing pretty well, especially this Chameleon. I mean, you can already see that it's starting to spread, and its location there is in kind of like a very sort of, well, it's in the arid zone, so the soil there is drier and not as fertile as the soil over in the cool end. The Helianthemum seems to be happy there as well. So the signs are looking good so far. The wormwood, I was a little bit unsure. Now these guys, you've got to be careful. If you ever do decide to get wormwood to plant in your terrarium, do be careful with the watering, because they do not like too much water. And just by sort of routine, really, when I add new plants into the garden or into here, just autopilot, I just add a bit of water just to help settle them in. But this guy came along, the pot it was in was already quite moist, and they don't like soils too moist. So when I added some extra water in just by spray misting, it didn't like that at all, and it kind of produced like yellowy kind of leaves. But now that the soil is drying out a bit, it seems to be settling a little bit more, touch wood. So I was thinking of moving it, but because space is very, very limited in there now, it was a case of, well, where do I move it to? And I don't think it would have coped on this side because the soil is more fertile and kind of clumpier, whereas on the warmer side the soil is it's well drained. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, now that this Sedum corticola, so this plant that you see in front here, this one, this is in the Crassula family, so I'm going to give this a bit of a pruning or deadheading, because it's flowered. It finished flowering probably about a month ago. It flowers in the autumn. Some nice purplish pink starry type flowers come from it in the autumn. So this can now be deadheaded. Now with deadheading, you are allowed to be a little bit ruthless. So the flower heads are all these little bits on the top here, these little sort of, you can see like these sort of dead flower heads. Now what I'm going to do is simply, where there's a little bit of new growth growing, so like here, right, there's a new kind of stem growing there. So I am literally just going to cut slightly above the new stem. And then that will encourage that new stem to continue growing. And then by next season, the new flowers will come from those stems. So does that make sense? So to cut the old flowers off, so I'll just do another one as an example. With this one in front of me here, I'm going to cut down to this. So there's like so this is the main shoot, yeah, And there's a little leaf there just hanging from the side, so I'm going to cut slightly above, and there we go. And that should help the plant continue growing. So I'm going to do that with all the stems wherever there's signs of new growth. So like here where I'm pointing to there, there's a little new shoot starting to grow there. So I'm just going to cut slightly above, and then that new shoot will grow. So it's not killing the plant, it's just giving it a haircut basically, so that the energy goes into the new shoots. The energy as in the what it's feeding from the soil. So that is how I prune this one. And you can start to see now the new shoots showing. Yeah. So pruning is a routine thing to do with plants in the autumn. November time is a good time to cut back basically. Autumn clearance. And that's basically it, really. What else? There's a new shoot growing up here. So this one, I'm just going to cut back the side ones first so I can get access. So you can see new shoot growing there, and there's a new shoot growing here. So I don't want to cut those out, so I'm literally going to just trim around so I can get access. There we go. So it's basically just cutting right above a new shoot, and then it allows future growth. So getting rid of the old flower heads, but not removing the new stems, because then that will prohibit growth. But that's all there is to it, really. It's pretty easy once you know how to do it. You can see on this stem here, so we've got the flower head here, and then my camera's not the best, guys, but can you just see there's like a bit of a new green, very small narrow shoot growing there. So I'm going to cut the ones beside it, so like this one and that one just behind, but keep that new little one there. Okay, because you can see these long ones here starting to spread, because these plants do spread as well. And that's all there is to it, really. So the joys of gardening in terrarium. So it's amazing, really, how this project has turned into a leopard gecko husbandry project, nutrition, horticulture, which is, you know, the growing of plants, cultivation of plants. There's physics involved in terms of like the lighting. I'm trying to work out how we can provide the best sort of lighting for our setups. That kind of mimic natural sun spectrum wavelengths. There's biology, ecology, in terms of like the flora and fauna, so like the insects, the plants, and how they interact with each other. There's, if you go even deeper, there's geophysics and geochemistry, which is like how the chemicals interact with like the physical, so like the biological chemicals from like the soils and plants and so on interact with the kind of physical rocks and whatnot. What else? Climate. We're trying to replicate some sort of weather system going on in here, and how all that kind of fits into the role, the functioning of the terrarium. So there's loads to it really. I do need to give it a little bit of a clean actually, because there's a bit of sort of watermarks showing on the glass, and all I use to clean it is some lemon juice mixed in with some water in a little spray bottle, and or just dab some paper towel into the mixture. So I slice a lemon in half, squeeze the lemon juice out of it into some water, just, I don't know, 100 ml of water, I don't know exact, just like a glass of water, mix in lemon juice, and then dab a paper towel in it and just wipe, and that's all. Very straightforward. So yeah, so that's the idea with pruning. So this little area here is a little bit, it's going to be a little bit more fiddly, so I'll do that after I've filmed. But yeah, so it's good to see that these plants are settling in. This Chameleon has really settled in. You can see it's really starting to spread there, and it's grown a little bit higher as well, so that's all good. So in the spring we'll have nice, well, hopefully it'll survive that long. We'll have nice white daisy-like flowers forming on this. This Helianthemum will produce nice kind of fiery orangey red flowers in the spring and in the summer. The Sedum in the back there is meant to flower as well, but it seems to be quite slow growing, but you know, it's still hanging in there. That will have yellow flowers on it, hopefully, in the spring and summer. So yeah. So that is our latest update on the plants. With the lighting, the temperatures, now that the house heating has gone on for a little bit, because it has gone quite colder this week outside. We're sort of heading into the last week of November now, so it's getting cooler. So we have flicked the heating on. It's not on like full blast, a couple of times a day for about an hour, but it has bumped up the ambient temperatures a little bit. The other night it was, because I was struggling to work out the boiler in the house. The temp in the terrarium, the ambient temp actually got down to like 15.7 degrees Celsius. But that's okay, because, you know, it's bringing on the winter cooling period. But now I would say the temperature is, well, I measured it about half an hour ago, and the ambient temp on the warm side was 26 and about 24 on the cool side. So that's in the daytime. At night time it does get a bit cooler, say about 18, maybe 17, depending on how long the heating is on for. But I don't use any other supplementary heating devices, so like heat mats or ceramic heat emitters at all, because I don't need to with this setup. If I was living in the northern parts of Canada, where it is snowing right now, then, you know, and it gets pretty cold, so maybe in climates like that, I would have to consider getting supplementary heating for the night time. But because I live in a temperate climate in the UK, on the North Wales coast, I don't need any extra heating. The halogen bulb does the job fully. So there we go. And Mr. Jinx, I've not seen him now for about a week. When I was planting these plants, he actually came out, he popped to investigate, and he had a good old drink off the slate. He was drinking for like at least 30 minutes. So that was good to see. But he's looking really, really healthy. Couldn't believe it, really. Amazes me how they can go long periods without food and water and then still look in good shape. So it's just, yeah, it's incredible, really. Because if you think in their wild habitat, they can survive for long periods where food is scarce and where they may have a prolonged drought season. But I do like to give this place a bit of a spray misting, not on a daily basis because it would kill the plants, but maybe say once a weekish. Give it a little gentle spray, and then if Mr. Jinx does decide to pop out, he can lick the droplets of water off the leaves of the plants or the slate. So there we are, guys. That is the latest update. Okay. If you have any questions or just would like to comment, please feel free to comment on anything with regards to this video or the setup in general, and I'll do my best and get back to you any questions or queries, i.e. what are these yellow things? I've been asked that quite a lot lately, and I have mentioned this in a previous video, and I haven't quite figured out the art to link that video into this video, so you can just quickly go to that video to figure out what these are. They basically measure air temperature and air humidity. They're calibrated devices that can sync to mobile phone and desktop via Bluetooth and wireless. So you can sort of, in a way, control the temperature from wherever you are, really. If you have the hub, which is an extra purchase, you can just purchase them individually and still sync them to your phone through the app. But if you buy the hub, you can control them from your workplace, say, and it'll send you like a warning or something if the temperature's maybe going a bit too high or whatever. You can adjust from wherever, so long as you've got Wi-Fi. That's through the hub. So they are useful, and they're high spec. They use them also in the hydroponics industry, horticulture, and they can be used around the home. They can be used farming, agriculture, egg incubators, stuff like that, just to accurately monitor the temperature and humidity. So they're pretty cool to have. All right. Okay, guys, so that is all for today. And like I said before, if you have any questions, please do give me a shout out below. And please do add a question or comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.